scale also will calibrated accurately with that. So that there is the trick they have told you. The length, then the question is asked, the length of a steel rod measured by this tube. Okay, so length of the steel rod is measured. So using this only we are measuring the steel rod. So we have to consider about the expansion of the steel tape also. Okay, so that is the indirectly they are giving some twisted question over there in that. Okay, so the length of the steel rod measured by this tape is found to be 63 centimeter on a hot day. So that means just like the steel rod is expanded, we have to think about the steel tape also expanded. Okay, so on the basis of that we will get actual length. So because of expansion, the steel tape also expanded by a small change in length, and actual length, what we are finding, the actual length actually is the product of how much change taking place in the tape into 63. So the final answer what he got 63.0136. That answer actually we are getting because it is hidden. It is not given in the question, but it is hidden. So you have to understand. So actual length, the question what they are asking is, actually we have to consider the expansion of the steel tip. So actual length actually is the 63 into that what you call that little bit change in length of the steel tip. So that is why our answer is going to be 63.0136. Finally you are finding. Thus at room temperature, not room temperature, at 27 degrees Celsius we have written the answer just 63. Okay, so the answer 63.0136 actually we are getting by considering the expansion of the steel tape also. So that is the clarification of that. Okay, it is hidden, but some of the guide they have explained to you how you find that change in length of the steel tape also. So in the problem we are not mentioned that, but you have to understand this is the answer like that. Okay, otherwise no problem in that. If you want further, you can check your any other reference material regarding that, because some books it does not mention, because it is not asked, some it is mentioned. So you can go for it. Clear? Okay children, so now we are moving on to next. So you already learned what is heat capacity, what is specific heat capacity. Now due to specific heat capacity, some changes are taking place in some of the material. So the next heading of state. Change of state. So mainly we are studying this change of state mainly in terms of water. Water, what are the changes? Once you learn the changes of the water, we will generalize that for other materials. Because water is the easiest thing to understand, because it's very common in our daily life. We are using that. So mainly, whenever there is a changes taking place in the heat energy, the water is taking a different states of matter that you already know. So one of that states of matter is melting of the ice. Okay, a water undergo so many process. It is fully depending upon the heat releasing, absorbing. Fully it is depending upon principle of calorimetry, that is releasing or absorbing. So first state of matter, first change in state of water is melting. So what is melting means? It is the process that is heat is absorbed from the surrounding to change the substance from a solid state to liquid state. So that is in physically. I think in chemistry also you must have studied the same definition. So in terms of heat energy, we can define the term melting. It is the process that heat is absorbed from the surrounding to change the substance from the solid state to liquid state. And what will happen? The temperature of the substance remains constant until all the solid has changed to liquid. So if you just consider a container full of ice cubes, just imagine ice cubes, and we are going on giving the heat energy, and each ice cube will be absorb this heat energy till it become fully water. So that process continues. So once it become fully water, you can say that this state is fully, the temperature is remain constant. After melting, even you give heat energy in that melting state, we cannot produce more water. We can only produce the water how much the ice cube is that. Okay. If you further you give heat energy, you know what is going to happen. The water starts boiling. So this melting process takes place only when a solid is completely turned into liquid. So in that particular state, we can say that it is achieved a thermal equilibrium. We can say it achieved a thermal equilibrium. So we are only considering a solid is changing into liquid. We are not discussed liquid is changing into vapor. So once the ice is completely melted, it becomes fully water. Then in the case of melting, we can say temperature remains constant for that liquid, and we can say that the matter is attaining a thermal equilibrium. Okay. Yes. And you already know what is melting point. That's very common, you already learned in chemistry. That is the temperature at which the solid changes to liquid is called melting point. Okay. At what time it started melting. Then second change of state in the substance is boiling. For boiling also, what is happening? The heat is absorbed. If you want to boil the water is taking the heat energy and absorbing it. So boiling is the process that heat absorbed from surrounding to change the substance from liquid state to vapor or gas state. The same thing, it will continue till it attain a thermal equilibrium. It will continue till it attain a thermal equilibrium. Thermal equilibrium means the temperature remains constant for a while. Thermal equilibrium. So if you boil a water, you can see that boiling point of the water is 100 degrees Celsius, but due to impurities it may increase up to 104 degrees Celsius usually because of the impurities. Suppose it is a distilled water. Distilled water means there is no more minerals, no more impurities. Then it will have exact 100 degrees Celsius. But in the case of a impure water, or where their mineral content is there, what you get from the river, wells, all that, the boiling point may increase up to 104 degrees Celsius. But after how much heat energy you give, it will not change its temperature. It will not change its temperature. As you continue heating, the next change of state is taking place. So we are only discussing boiling. How much heat energy you give, there is no change in temperature. So we can say it is attaining a thermal equilibrium. So boiling point is the temperature at which the liquid changes to gas. So that is the second change of state. And third change of state is condensation or solidification. Condensation is another third one. Next we will go to freezing again, back. The third process, condensation. So condensation is the process that substance change from gas to liquid state again by cooling. At this point, you know heat is released. Heat energy being released in condensation process. Then only it started cooling. Okay. So, in melting and boiling, heat is absorbed, but in condensation, the heat is being released. So, condensation is the process that the substance change from gas state to liquid state by cooling it below boiling point. And same, it will continue till all vapor turn into liquid state until it attain a thermal equilibrium. And last process, it is a irreversible process, no? So, condensation means next is freezing or solidification. Freezing and solidification, you already know, substance changes from liquid state to solid state by cooling further, heat is released here. Again, heat is released in this case. Further heat is released. So, this is the picture of ender thing what I was discussing, and in chemistry you also have learned another word, sublimation. Do you remember sublimation? Anyone have any idea what do you mean by sublimation?
Solid directly changes into gas.
Yes. So, that is sublimation. Okay, directly changing. So, we are just talking into set by set. So, melting, evaporating, condensing, getting called a freezer. So, this arrow is actually showing the sublimation, directly turning into. Okay, without going to that, it is directly going. So, this is just for your knowledge. Now, this is what the heating curves. Heating curve of the, you don't have to copy and all, it is in your textbook. So, this is the heating curve of a water. When solid is heated for a sufficiently long time, it melts, eventually boils. A heating curve of a solid is shown. So, for example, ice. Okay. So, from A to B, it is solid. Okay. Then from B to C, mixture of solid and liquid. That is slowly it is started melting. Correct? And it started melting, that means partially solid, partially liquid. You know the ice. So, slowly it becomes small pieces and remaining become water. And this one shows the curve, the line for fully becoming liquid. C to D represent the liquid, and again there is a some time till it get evaporated continuously, till it get evaporated fully or completely. Then it will continue this straight line and it get evaporated fully. So, this is the heating curve of a solid, or if I ask you heating curve of a ice, you can draw the same figure. For example, ice. So, that is more easy for us to understand. So, this is heating curve, and this is cooling. Once it become fully turn into this thing, you can see all the graph is now coming decreasing. Before it was going up, now it is decreasing. So, this is known as cooling curve. So, from the gas turning into liquid, again that process, again liquid, again mixture of solid and liquid. So, this is cooling curve of a gas, maybe water vapor. You can write example water vapor. Okay. The first figure you will get it on page number, the heating curve, you will get it on page number 285, 285, 285, figure 11.12, figure 11.12, and the cooling curve is not mentioned, so if you want you can just draw the cooling curve, nutshell. Cooling curve you can draw by a rough sketch. Okay, next some terms related to all this. The next term known as phase diagram. What do you mean by phase diagram in this case? So this is actually is a phase diagram. We also call it curve. So phase diagram in terms of pressure and temperature. If you draw a graph, here it is temperature and the time. Instead of the time, if you mention the pressure, then we can have a phase diagram. So you write down a graph between the temperature, a graph between the temperature T and temperature T and pressure P, pressure P, pressure P of a substance is called phase diagram. A graph between the temperature T, the pressure P of the substance is called phase diagram, or we can call it as PT region, PT region. And each phase diagram is giving a different phase. If you talk about this is a one phase, this is you can say about condensation phase. Gas is turning into liquid. This is becoming a liquid phase. And if you go back to the previous one, if you talk about this one, this is the phase of solid. So you call this region solid curve. This is liquid curve. And in the name of the process, you can call it is as a melting curve, vaporization curve, sublimation curve, like that. So on the basis of PT, we can divide into different regions. That is what we have depicted in that. And at a particular point, all these phases such as the vaporization, fusion and sublimation, all these curves meet, and that is known as triple point. So next term, triple point. Triple point. What do you mean by triple point of the substance? The temperature and pressure at which the temperature and pressure at which the fusion curve, vaporization curve and sublimation curve. and sublimation curve meet and all the three phases coexist. All these phases exist at a particular point, and all the three phases coexist is called triple point of the substance. Coexist as the triple point of substance. So for example, in the case of water, triple point of temperature is 273.15 degrees Celsius. Triple point 273 not degrees Celsius, Kelvin. 273.16 Kelvin. And pressure at this triple point, pressure is getting 6.11 into 10 to the power of 3 Pascal. So this is the triple point of the temperature and the pressure at this particular point. And you can learn that graph. There is a 2 graphs which is showing triple point, that is on page number 283. Page 283, figure it's not in the figure. You can see there is a blue box is given separately. Figure blue box. In that it is given triple point. So in that 2 graph is given to you. What do you mean by the triple point? So these are the some important terms, okay, which we need for the, if you are going for entrance or something. That's what I am teaching. Actually these are not much important, but these terms it should not be strange to you. If you are going for a course, entrance course and all, when there are questions are coming, you should know what are all these terms. So for that sake I am teaching you. These are not much important on the point of +1. This chapter only certain terms is important. Heat capacity, specific heat capacity, then ideal gas equation. So these are the 2 things important in this chapter. Triple point, all that things I am teaching you on the basis of for your enter class. It is in your textbook, but I already told you we have some selective portions for your exam point of view. So that I will be given to you. When portions are over, I will be select certain portions that only you study, because I know that it is not easy for you to digest entire chapter. Sir has. So next, on the basis of sublimation and all, we have already completed heat capacity. On the basis of that, we have going to learn another 2 important terms, that is known as latent heat. This is an evaporation under you don't. So latent heat and specific latent heat. So you have learned heat capacity, then you have learned the heat specific heat capacity, molar capacity. So more or less these topics are related to that. So what do you mean by latent heat? What do you mean by latent heat? Energy must be supplied to a substance to melt or boil it. In other words, to make it change the state. So we already told, I told you melting and boiling, heat is absorbed. Condensation and sublimation and all, heat is releasing. So energy does not increase the increase substance's temperature. It does not increase the substance's temperature, but it is only helping to change the state. So that is the idea of a latent heat. So what is latent heat? It is the amount of heat energy needed to change the state of a substance without changing the temperature. The latent heat is the amount of energy needed to change the, don't write the first one, you can only write this one, this term, latent heat. Okay, so latent heat is the amount of heat energy needed to change the state of a substance without changing temperature, without changing temperature. You understood, no? So in the case of ice melting point, we already know ice is at 0 degrees Celsius. As you going on giving the heat energy, there is no changes taking place the temperature of the ice. It is still 0 degrees Celsius. It is still 0 degrees Celsius till it become fully water. So till that complete change of state, the ice remain at 0 degrees Celsius. So in that particular time, how much heat energy you give, that is known as latent heat. So that is why it is means hidden. Latent means hidden. So the first sentence what I telling that we will be heating or boiling without changing its actual temperature. Similarly, boiling time also same thing happened. Correct. Once you attain that boiling point, how much heat energy you give, its boiling point is not changing. It will fully converted into steam. So it continue like that. So that is why latent heat. And on the basis for 1 kg substance, we call it as specific latent heat. For 1 kg substance, we call it as specific latent heat. It is the amount of energy needed to change the state of 1 kg of a substance. So that is the difference between sorry latent heat and as well as specific latent heat. Okay, the specific latent heat is the amount of energy needed to change the state of 1 kg substance without changing temperature. So on the basis we have another equation that is equal to, it is a hidden. So latent heat, we represent, some books it is represented as capital L. Sometimes some books it is given only E. So according to NCERT, latent heat is equal to, 1 minute. Yes. Latent heat is equal to Q per M. Latent heat is equal to Q divided by M, or the hidden heat energy. How much heat energy you are giving, you can calculate from the same equation. Q is equal to M into capital L. So latent heat also is a constant. Water is separate and all the substance has a different latent heat. So Q is equal to Ml. So L is a constant value. And in the case of what? Okay, so in the case of a latent heat, we have two types of latent heat. That is what we call latent heat of vaporization okay. Two type of one is specific latent heat of vaporization. The specific latent heat of vaporization is the amount of heat energy required to change 1 kg of a substance from liquid state to gas. It is the amount of heat energy required to change 1 kg of a substance from liquid state to gas. That is vaporize. From the word itself you know it is something related to vaporization. Correct. And fusion means melting. Specific latent heat of fusion, or we can use the common word melting, because these are the two things happen, no? When a substance change into either from solid to liquid or liquid to gas. So that is why we have only two types of it. That is specific latent heat of fusion. Fusion means melting. Vaporization you know. Amount of heat is required to change 1 kg of a substance from solid state to liquid state as its melting point. And it's a standard value for water. Latent heat of water is given so in water latent heat of fusion, for example water, I am just writing LF means latent heat of fusion. The water is 3.33 into 10 to the power of 5 joule per kg. One example for water, latent heat of fusion is 3.33 into 10 to the power of 5 joule per kg, and latent heat latent heat of vaporization, LV. I am just giving the point LV, that is almost is equal to, for water it is 22.6 into 10 to the power of 5 joule per kg. So we only have to learn this latent heat of vaporization. Okay, so we can do one problem based on it and then we wind up the session. I have given an example in an experiment to find latent heat of fusion of a 15 kg. What is on the slide you can write, remaining one we will do it in the next class. In an experiment to find latent heat of fusion of a 50 kg metal needs 5,20,000 joule of heat energy to melt from solid state to liquid state. Calculate the latent heat of fusion of metal. So we have Q is equal to ml, therefore L is equal to Q by M. So it's a direct question, objective type question. Mass is given to you, the amount of heat energy absorbed for the solid for that particular metal to turn into liquid is given 5,20,000 joule. Then just substitute the equation, you will get the answer. That is 52 5,20,000 divided by 50. Okay. And if you get, you will get almost this many value, 7 joule per kg latent heat, no? So it is joule, this is kg. So you will get 3466.7 joule per kg. Okay, just write it and you just do it and see whether you will get or not. Clear? Okay, children, so we are winding up the session now for today. And I am not continue up till 5 o'clock. We have almost completed this chapter. This chapter only this much only. One small more topic for entrance sake I have to teach you is Newton's law of cooling and Boltzmann constant. Only that definition and the formula. So that we will discuss in the next class, and 1 or 2, 3 problems. Okay? Okay, bye. Thank you. We will meet tomorrow. Okay.